Hey Soul Fam, Psychic Tammy here. I thought I'd pop on today and share with you the first time, or the story of the first time that I had a mediumship experience. I don't actively talk about this because it's such a it was such like a scary experience for me. And so the first time I had a mediumship experience was with my sister the morning after that she passed away. I remember being in my mom's front yard. I had come over in the middle of the night and they gave me the news, and I was staying at my mom's until my father could come, just the whole thing. And my dad got there and kind of relieved me of my duties with my mom. And when I walked outside of my mom's house, I had this sensation that I was not fully in my body. You know how sometimes you'll take some NyQuil or something like that when you're sick and you kind of get, they call it medicine head, you get disconnected from your body. I had that sort of sensation. At the same time, I experienced another sensation, which I have learned is called blending or merging, which is when the loved ones, the deceased person's soul, essence, whatever it is, comes into my physical body and shares my space. And so not only was I having this sort of disconnected but present experience, but I was also having this feeling of sharing my body with someone else who was in more control of it than myself. That's the best way I can say it. And so I walked around my mom's front yard. Well, my body did, and I could feel that it was my sister that was compelling my body to do this because we were in a merged state. So I walked around my mom's front yard just touching everything as if it was the first time I'd ever touched a rose, or, looking at the sunrise as if it was the first time I'd ever seen a sunrise, which, was obviously my sister experiencing roses and sunrises, but as an etheric being rather than a human being. So I walked around my mom's garden just sort of experiencing things, and my father was outside. And I remember that as I was touching the flowers and smelling the orange blossoms from the fields around us, I remember feeling the sensation of tears running down my face, even though, Kami wasn't crying. I could feel it physically happening to me. And I also recall hearing a voice coming out of my mouth, and it wasn't until the moment that I heard this voice come out of my mouth that I realized what was happening. I remind you that this was the moment that my gifts really woke up for me. I was sort of an awakened person and a mildly gifted person until this incident. And so I walked around my mom's garden, and this voice came out of my mouth, and it repeatedly said, "It's all so beautiful." It took me a moment to recognize that that was not my voice. It was my sister's voice coming out of me. My sister and I have very distinctly different voices. She was a heavy smoker. I'm not. And so it took me a minute to get that. After that experience, I was very sort of bewildered for a while. I didn't realize what was going on with me. I didn't realize that I had awakened to my gifts for several more months, if not maybe even a year, did I realize that the experience that I'd had with my sister was a mediumship experience. And it took going to see James von Prague, who was another famous medium, in person, and he had another guy with him named Kevin. I can't think of his last name. And I had an opportunity to actually talk with James von Prague and the other man. I think it was Kevin Stockridge, maybe. And I had explained I had this experience, and I had explained that since having that experience, I'd had that experience with a couple of other different beings too that had passed over. And it was James von Prague and this other man that explained to me that I have this gift of mediumship. And for me, I don't just have evidential mediumship where I have an understanding or memories of the deceased person's memories. I actually have what, again, they call blending and merging. And that's when a soul comes into your physical body and shares your physical space. It merges with you in order to bring forward a message, to visit with a loved one, etc. This incidentally is also why I don't do medium work in my live sessions, because this merging for me, it's a very physical thing. I lose my voice. It becomes hard for me to breathe. It's such an interesting thing. For a long time, when I first began having mediumship experiences with other people that had passed on too, I would experience their death as soon as they came in. They wanted me to experience their death with him, and I remember I experienced the death of Coreyhaim. I sometimes will do celebrity medium stuff, work for myself, so I'm just curious. I experienced the death of Coreyhaim, and it was so terrifying to me that I shut off my mediumship gifts for a while. He kind of like drowned in his own like mucus. He had a cold, and so you can imagine, here I am, already struggling to breathe because I'm merged with this soul, and then I'm experiencing his horrific sort of suffocating to death. It was really quite a terrifying experience for me, and I stopped doing medium work for some time. But this is why I don't do it publicly on live videos, because I literally have to fight to feel safe in my body. Sometimes it's such an overwhelming merging of these two souls. Anyways, I thought I would pop on and share that. I'm coming up on my sister's death anniversary, and so my thoughts are more and more about my sister and the gifts that she brought to me, and the legacy that I can leave for her through me. Let me know what you think about this. I'm curious to know if you've ever heard of something called blending and merging, or if you've experienced it yourself. Sending you so much love for your day.